When people heal in this work, so many times it's not about, they reach a point where they're not wondering why they haven't healed. They're so involved in the process of change that their effort to change some aspect about themselves is greater than their desire to heal. They're learning the formula to heal by doing that. How many people heard me? When it's no longer about the disease, it's about the program that has to be removed, the emotion that has to change, the unconscious blind spot that must be revealed. It's the dark night when you're weighing what you know against what you don't know, and you know you can't go back. But you got to go. But nobody doesn't look like anybody else is going. And you ask your friends, what do you think? And they're giving you the worst answers you ever heard. That none of that feels right. They don't get you. They're not you. No one has the answer but you. And you know you can't go that way. And you got to trust the unknown. And that's a lot of trust in yourself, especially when no one else is doing it. Our community is so valuable to me. I love us in so many ways. People in this audience that have healed their bodies. I talked to a cancer biologist backstage just a bit ago, diagnosed with a very rare cancer that spread throughout her entire body. Chemo doesn't work. If chemo did work, it's 6% of the population. If it did, 6% of that 6% would actually respond to this very rare treatment. She's a cancer specialist, a researcher. She has no cancer in her body, none, zero. Just a little specks left in her liver. She had them all over. She had nodules all over her body. She had it spread in her bones and all over her liver. She's a cancer researcher. I mean, I just had the meeting with the science team. What are we doing next year? Cancer research, they said. And she says to me, well, any of you want me to help you write any grants on cancer research? Bet you're sure we do. As a scientist, it's the 4-minute mile that we're after here. What's what we're after? We're after that new level of awareness, of possibility, that someone in the flock, someone in the tribe, someone in the pride, someone in the culture, in the community, broke through a certain level of consciousness or unconsciousness, and they're the example to the rest that it's possible. It's not only a footprint in consciousness, it's in three-dimensional reality. You're staring at evidence, you're staring at truth. And I love when the stories aren't glamorous, because those people had difficult moments. It wasn't from A to B for a lot of them, for a lot of us. They had to take a journey. And the journey, the value in the journey for the person who's listening to the truth. I say when I see these testimonials, they send them to me all the time, I say, she's telling the truth. She is telling the truth. She is speaking truth. The value to the person who is paying attention because they want to change is listening to the uncompromising will, the change in the belief, the dedication, the hard moments when they could have quit when their disease was getting worse before it got better. The body holding on one last time to the past. Family members that challenged them. Bankruptcy, loss, everything, losing it all. When they tell the story of their healing, it is very clear that they're no longer a victim to their disease. It couldn't exist in them. Their story is a testimony of truth. It's a testimony of possibility. You look at the amount of testimonials we have in this work. You look at the number of examples of truth that we have. And I said to this cancer doctor, because she knows, when cancer spreads to an organ, or cancer spreads to the bones, and it metastasizes, eats away at tissue, breaks the scaffolding of bones down, usually a physician or a researcher will tell you once it metastasizes to an area, likelihood of that area coming back without some type of damage is very, very unlikely. We have had numerous people in this work that had metastatic cancer spread to all their organs through their bones. There it is, and then there it's not. It's no longer evident. It's gone. That's a normal now in this collective consciousness. It's not uncommon now that occurs. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, not 5 times. This seems to be a pattern. This seems to be a trend. This seems to be a new consciousness. Her doctor, the radiological report was basically saying, wow, this is not normal. This doesn't happen. To be able to self-regulate in your life, to be able to make a change in your emotional state, change something in you without relying on anything outside of you, is a miracle in and of itself. And I don't care. In the beginning, I know it's hard. I understand it. But if you keep practicing it, you're going to get really good at catching yourself when you start having a bad attitude. Would you agree? And that would be worth it in and of itself. Yes? But just to prove to you that I am telling the truth, I'm going to ask Jennifer, who is our cellular biologist, cancer researcher, to come on the stage and just have a little chat with us. What do you think?
5 years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer. It was early stage in the uterus, and it's a very rare cancer called sarcoma. And at the time, because it was so small, my oncologist said, "Don't worry about it. We'll watch you over time, but we caught it early. You're going to be okay." So fortunately, they kept an eye on me. I had a small recurrence a couple years later. They took that out, and then I was fine for another 2 years. So come July of last year, so July 2020, they noticed a slightly enlarged lymph node in my pelvis, and they watched it, and over a couple months, it started to grow. So they determined that it actually was a recurrence, and I would need to do chemotherapy. So I did the traditional cytotoxic chemotherapy where your hair falls out and you're sick. And the idea was to shrink this tumor enough so that they could take it out. And then I could go on my merry way and be disease-free, hopefully, for another, several years. But unfortunately, that's not what happened. I did the full 6 cycles of chemotherapy, and I was expecting that the tumor had shrunk and that I would have surgery and be okay. But what actually happened was the tumor grew and had spread to my lungs. And I know as a cancer biologist that, once, as Dr. Joe was saying, once the cancer spreads to different parts of your body, your prognosis changes a lot, and to be honest, is really not that good. So I enrolled in a clinical trial at a fabulous academic institution in the US, and in that clinical trial, I was able to basically stabilize the tumor growth. So the big tumor didn't grow in my pelvis, and then the lung nodules didn't grow either. So that's good. But come June, so this was in February of this year, come June, so a couple months later, my liver function tests started to go up and become abnormal. I started to have a lot of pain in my pelvis and in my back. In fact, I had to be hospitalized at one point because the pain was so bad. So my physician, my oncologist, did what's called a PET scan, and he saw bone mets all over me, lung mets, innumerable liver mets, metastases, nodules in my abdomen. It was everywhere. So I was off the trial because clearly that drug was not working, and he started me on a new drug. And this was the Friday before I came to Dr. Joe's Colorado retreat back in July. So just a couple of months ago. And I attended from Sunday to Thursday. I had to get back in time for treatment. But I remember doing the meditations, lying down, and being in so much pain from lying down in my pelvis that, I had to have pillows around me, and, I was moving around all the time, and it was just agony. And over the course of the week, I noticed very subtly that the pain was getting a little bit better. I thought, maybe this is in my head, but I'm going to go with this. So I had to leave on Thursday and Friday get chemotherapy, so I missed a couple days of the retreat. But when I went in for my blood work, my liver enzymes went from 700, which is really, really bad, like liver failure bad, down to 30, which is even better than they were before I started chemotherapy. So, it was really, really incredible. And even my oncologist, I had just started this new therapy, and as Dr. Joe mentioned, it only works in 6% of people with sarcoma, and most of those people are men and women of color. So, there was a teeny tiny little chance that I would respond to this therapy. So my blood work continued to improve.
Wait. You forgot one important point. You were doing your meditations, how were you?
Every single day. Every single day. And, I would pick the meditation based on what spoke to me that day. It might be the healing one, or the heart-mind coherence, or the blessing of the energy centers. But every single day, I did the meditation. And I also practiced 15 minutes of gratitude for my healing. And with that gratitude came joy. And I lived with that as long as possible, but at least for 15 minutes every day. Because up until that point, I had lived a life of survival and fear. And I was changing that now to this wonderful opportunity that I have. I'm healing, I'm optimistic, and grateful. So doing the meditations every day, and we get a scan finally, so to really see what's going on. And my oncologist actually called me on the phone, which is a big deal. He called me the night before because he was so excited and impressed with what he saw. And what he saw was, and I'm going to quote this, let me think for a second. interval response manifested by complete resolution of pulmonary metastasis, so my lung tumors, omental metastasis, so the abdominal tumors. The liver metastasis were like 95% gone, and now they're gone. And then necrosis or death of that big tumor. And he said, "You are the 1%. He said, "This is absolutely amazing." And I have to tell you that being here this weekend, I was able to do the pineal gland 4-hour and 10-minute meditation lying down with zero pain. Zero pain. And I feel so grateful, and I have met so many wonderful people here too that have shared their stories with me. So I hope that this provides hope. I would love to talk to anybody about, what I'm doing. And I just wanted to pay it forward because I have found a lot of inspiration from the testimonials that I've watched. So hopefully this is helpful.
Now, couple things here. She's a scientist, a rational researcher, empirically based. She comes across this information because nothing's changing in her life until she makes up her mind to change. No scientist will dispute the fact that living in survival and living in stress long-term pushes the genetic buttons that create disease, that no organism in nature can sustain emergency modes for that extent of time. All other systems are compromised because all the energy is going towards survival. And if you can turn on that stress response just by thoughts alone, your thoughts can make you sick. And she started to read and consume this information, and it made sense to her scientific mind. She understood she had to get out of survival. Wasn't like, how come I'm not healing? This is like, I have to get out of survival in order to heal. Did you hear me? That's a fundamental point that has to be understood. The next thing she does is she experiments to see if I start making changes in my internal state, will my body be so objective that it doesn't know the difference between the environmental experience that's producing the emotion and the emotion that I'm creating by thought alone? I understand that the environment signals the gene, okay. The end product of an experience in the environment is an emotion. My goodness, I could actually signal genes ahead of the environment if I give thanks for my healing before it happens. And all I'm going to do is combine a clear intention, a vision, the optimistic view that I could actually get better with an elevated emotion, a thought and a feeling, a image, a symbol and an emotion, a conditioned response, a stimulus and response. And she's conditioning her body emotionally every single day for it to believe it's living in a new future. And by practicing the brain and heart coherence, she's creating autonomic regulation instead of autonomic dysregulation. And the innate intelligence of the body is that it wants to heal. Are you with me? And so then, she's in the process of discovery, of saying, I'm not going to be a victim to my disease. I mean, the prognosis would normally create a lot of fear for people, a lot of stress for people, a lot of self-doubt for people. A lot of times you don't feel good, you're in a lot of pain, you don't want to do it. A lot of times you just don't want to have enough time because you got to sit with you, and that doesn't feel good sometimes. But we have physicians and nurses now and scientists in this audience, actually, that said, well, let's just see if I actually apply this and just experiment with the process. I'm not going to try to make anything happen. I'm just going to follow the instructions and see what happens if I do this. She's not trying to control the outcome. She's actually curious to see if there's another possibility. She's not forcing it. She's not fighting for it. She's not trying to predict it. She's really just measuring the effects of her cause. If I change my internal state, will I start noticing changes in my biology? I don't know. Well, let's just see if I practice this, what would happen. And if she starts the event 5 days into the event, she starts feeling better. It means she's dragging that body out of the past. And some people just find that little magic door where their body all of a sudden responds to their mind. They reprogram their body. And don't you think when she sees the values change, when she gets her first test, her liver enzymes, what do you think she's going to go, oh, damn, I'm not healed? Or is she going to go, what the hell? Now, what do you think she's feeling? Is she feeling bad or is she feeling good? She's a little bit more optimistic. What feeling is she feeling more of? Gratitude. Uh-oh. It's getting easier to feel it because the universe is organizing itself to reflect my change. I got feedback in my environment. I better pay attention to what I did. I'm going to do it again. I'm a scientist. Let's see if I do it again, if I produce the same outcome. I don't know. Well, let's try it. Well, I'm going to be a little bit more courageous and mix it up. See what happens if I mix it up. All of a sudden, the metastasis to the different parts of our lungs, there's the spreading of the cancer spread to the lungs. It's secondary. It's gone. Tissue's repaired. Now, who did that? Did her personality do that? Her autonomic nervous system said, well, got a new driver here. I got to endorse whoever's whoever's in office. I endorse who's in office. That's what the body does. It's the servant to the mind. New driver, new personality, not thinking the same way, certainly not acting the same way, very much certain we're not feeling the same way. Let's see how long if I keep this up. Okay, now my metastasis to my lungs feels better. I don't have any sign of cancer there. Oh, am I going to feel guilty and shameful and unworthy? Or what am I going to feel now? A little bit more love for life? Where's energy moving? Oh my God, I really feel this heart and brain coherence stuff. I actually feel that. Oh, well, now I feel even more grateful. And here she goes. She spirals right out of her health condition. Nothing changes in our lives until we change. This is the 4-minute mile you're looking at right here, the example of truth. Now, one last question, Jennifer, and then I'll leave you off the hook. Of course, you are going to be part of our scientific research team when it comes to studying cancer, of course. Why the hell not? Should we not have the truth on our side? But for the audience, did you have days where you felt fear?
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
You felt fear, I'm just curious, and you did your meditation anyway.
I did.
And some days you actually overcame that fear and replaced it with gratitude.
I did, yes.
Well, I would consider that a victory, Jennifer. Now, indulge me again. Were there days that you felt so much pain, or you felt so sick that you just didn't feel like doing the meditation?
Absolutely.
And did you do your meditation in spite of not feeling good?
Every day.
And did you feel when you did that you overcame your body a little bit more at the end of the meditation?
Yes, I never regretted a meditation.
Okay, hang on here. I need a moment. Were there days as a scientist with a very, very trained analytical mind, that you doubted that this could actually work?
No,
I love that.
never. I knew it would work.
Now that is somebody who's interested in the experiment of changing a belief. Did you hear me? You can't show up with a condition like this in doubt. Doubt will not heal that condition. When she sits down to do the work, when she's done with her meditation, she believes a little bit more that she's healed. And some people do this work and they believe less that they're healed because they're sitting down with that doubt and they're doing it in doubt. She says, okay, I understand the science here, let's go. Well, if I'm going to do this, I can't doubt. You can't doubt when you do the process. Are you listening? And she looks like a pretty together person, don't you think? I'm sure there were days when you had to manage your time and you could have said, oh, foo, I just don't have enough time to do my meditation. I'm just curious, did you make time in any way?
I always made time.
So then this became your medicine, a dosage, as Dr. Hemmel would say, a dosage of meditation every day, understanding on a very, very explicit and implicit level of biology and science. She understood what she was doing and why she was doing it, so that the how became practical. She assigned meaning to what she was doing. It made sense to her that if I did this, let's just see what the outcome could be. I'm not going to control the outcome. I'm going to put the effort into it and then measure the outcome. How many people understand the difference? It's no longer about her healing. It's about actually measuring the effect, seeing if she can make the change in here first before she says, why aren't I healed? She doesn't rush to the outcome without the experiment, without doing the scientific method to see if we can produce a change. I think it's brilliant. Don't you?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
That future you, that future Jennifer that you just witnessed, if she did not show up for the work every day, she would still be the old person. If you didn't show up for the walk today because of that thought that it was too cold, you'd still be the person like yesterday, and you're an evolved version of yourself. She's in a new body. She's in a whole new environment, a whole new life. She's in a whole new future in time, and all she did was choose herself every day. Every day, overcoming until she became that person. The disease lives in the old person. She's not that person anymore. She's somebody else. I want you to know that that future her, Jennifer, fell in love with the past Jennifer that overcame herself. The hard meditations that she was sitting in where she couldn't get beyond the fear and she had to turn it into gratitude. She fell in love with that person. And it's her future self that's existing in love that is drawing that past self to her. It's the hard ones you remember, the ones you stuck out when you truly become the new you. That's who you fall in love with. And that future you that already exists, all you got to do is become it. And let's become it in time, space, and then draw that you to you in love.